this camera I've got on TV, the one that I'm taking pictures of the moon with. But they float around just like you've seen. But the funny part is, when you're not watching, they'll float off, and then you'll hunt for them. And you have one whale of a time finding these objects. You'll look all around, and then somebody on the other side will say, look, it's right by your left ear.
You've heard of dirty jobs? Well, this one takes the cake. It's the stowage console in the Payload Operations Integration Center. Carrie and Allison, they have to keep track of all those things floating around in space. Carrie, do astronauts lose things?
They do lose things. It happens.
Well, how do you keep track of that? I mean, I can't even keep track of my toothbrush, so how do you keep track?
We have a database that all of our items are listed in, and we track every time the items are used on board, dates, times, the last person to use it.
What kinds of things do we look for?
The stowage group here, we're responsible for tracking any equipment and hardware used for payload experiments.
So when they're doing an experiment and they need a wrench or whatever, you guys have to tell them where it's at?
Exactly. We do.
Well, how do you know?
Our database is absolutely invaluable. That is where we go for everything.
So we're saying that's like a barcode system like you see at the grocery store?
It has identifiers for every item's in there, and we move it. Every time there is a change, it gets moved to that new location. So the next time we look, it's in the updated location.
They have a lot going on up there, so we try and help them out here on the ground. And there are so many items up there and so many stowage locations where the items are kept. It's impossible to keep track of where everything is at all the time for one person. So
now let's figure out where the weirdest place we found something.
We'll often look at the camera and there'll just be an item, just kind of floating by.
Look at this. And the bolt we lost. Dude, it's just floating here. I just came around the corner from the cupola and it's floating here.
Who's more organized, the men or the women?
The women. I would have to say it's the women. It's just like at home.
I knew that. There are a lot of things that you throw away after an experiment too. You guys have to keep track of that too. That's dirty, okay?
Trash is hard. It's probably one of the hardest things about the job. You'd be surprised what goes into just trashing a Ziploc bag.
So anything that we trash, we have to have a paperwork in place. Since we tracked it going up to the station, we have to track it coming back home or being disposed of. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Subscribe for more space.